What's up, people? How you feeling? Legendary Talks here, episode 120. Excited to have the very amazing Kellindo joining us tonight. What's up, Sidra? How you feeling? I know my outfit doesn't look like much, but I'm actually quite feeling this outfit. It's kind of simple and understated for me, but I'm totes feeling it. Ooh, Sharia, what's up? I'm going to see you soon in the ATL. Kellindo has joined us right now, actually. What's up, Kellindo? I'm going to request you in a second. I just want to pin you first. How's everybody feeling tonight? What's everybody drinking? What should be our drinking word? Right now, well, we welcome the amazing Kellindo, guitar player, bassist.
Hey, bonsoir.
Hi, how are you?
Great to see you. How are you?
Great, good to see you. What should our drinking word be?
Oh, that's a good question. Like other than cheers, you mean like prosh or something like that?
Something I say often. I don't know.
Let's see. How about sass?
Okay, good. Cheers to sass.
Cheers to sass.
How you feeling?
Feeling great.
What are you drinking?
Thank you. I'm drinking water.
Okay, okay,
Actually, no, I'm drinking water and gin. So
good.
gin and water.
Water and gin. I'm drinking tequila and basically on the rocks. So,
Mm.
um, Melinda, thank you for doing this. We've been talking
Thank you.
for a while. It's my 120th episode, and it's called. And basically, I interview people that I think have been important to culture in whatever reason I think. You know, it could be someone, assistant stylist, or a famous artist, or a nightclub promoter, or a DJ. You know, it doesn't matter. People that I just think have been important to culture. So, I'm very glad to have you on tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan. I've been watching your show, your interviews, and your conversations for quite some time. And, me being a Virgo and being shy, I'm always like, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not on there, but I really love his show. And then I got your text and I was like, eek. But I'm very thankful to be here.
Well, nothing to be shy about. You two, old friends chatting it up. So,
That's so true.
first question I want to ask you is, I want you to describe yourself to me as if you did not know me.
Wow. That's a
Is it
good one.
like, describe, as if we've never met. Describe yourself to me.
Okay. Let's see. I am a human in android human form
Right.
of love, and I do love making music, making sounds, words. I love creating and conveying vibes and energy to people and other atmosphere and other aliens out in the atmosphere, and just love, love. And I've been doing this with Janelle Monae for almost 15 years now, and having the greatest time of my life. I've learned so much, and I'm here to continue doing it, and also to continue working on my own music and getting it out there to the masses and spreading the love to everyone.
Great. I think I'm an Android too. I think I'm a unofficial Android via all of you, just for the record.
Yes, of course you are. Absolutely.
Well, I call myself the Wonderland, the unofficial Wonderland self-proclaimed mascot, by the way. So,
Yeah.
um, so you're from New York, right?
Yeah, I'm from New York. I mean, I was born in DC, and but I was there for a minute, and then but grew up here in New York.
So I am, mildly or wildly obsessed with New York in like the early 80s, mid 80s, 90s, like that. Describe New York to me from your eyes during that time, 80s and 90s. Were you there in the 80s?
Mm. I was there. I was, really, really young, but for me, the '80s was very colorful.
Yeah.
Neons and just bright colors. The music was very bouncy and bubbly. A lot of synthesizer, a lot of analog synthesizer. Everything was just happy to me in my life. Everything was just like, wow, look at all the colors and look at all the smiles and Madonna. Wow, amazing. you know, Michael Jackson, of
Uh,
course.
and what were the 90s like for you in New York?
'90s were kind of like New York felt like a small rock and roll town.
Yeah.
A town where the coolest thing was the coolest band at this little new club down
Yeah.
in the village, East Village, West Village, and that's when I started doing my performing in New York. It was in the 90s, and it was such a great scene. Oh my goodness. I think it's coming back. I have a feeling in the future it will come back.
Well, I believe, what's going on in the world and the way it's going to affect New York is that, again, I wasn't around in the 80s, but I am obsessed with New York in the 80s, and it seemed very
Mm.
dangerous, desperate, but really creative. So I think New York is heading towards that again, which I think is go down and to go back up. But with going down comes all this creativity, And I've also said this many
Yes.
times. I said, if you're an artist, you're not creating during this time, you're not really an artist. I mean, you're not really an artist. So, um,
So
but
true.
getting back to you when you were younger. So when you were like a very young child, what's the first song that kind of blew your mind or that you really remember? Kind of like your non-Michael Jackson. Sidebar. Michael Jackson
Ah.
only because everybody said Michael Jackson. So I want, I think it's, we all experienced him together. So excluding Michael Jackson, what song could be anybody?
Okay. Two come to mind. Michael Jackson was first, so you already knew that. But two come to mind. Um, the first one that comes to mind is only because my father and my father's record, I just say my father's record collection was very diverse, and I remember going through it and finding a Beatles record,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I pressed play and I dropped the needle on the turntable, and somehow I think the song "Rain" came on. It's a song that is not really that popular. I don't know if it was a hit. Yeah, but it's just so the harmonies and the guitars, the rich harmonics on the guitars, and when the rain comes in, it just had that rolling sound of John Lennon's tone, which I just love his voice. That was the first song that struck me in like a wow, what is this kind of vibe. And the second one was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So aren't you glad I excluded Michael Jackson? So
Yes.
we all love Michael Jackson. You know that. So,
Yeah.
um, and then what's the first music video that, again, non-Michael Jackson, that either blew your mind or you were obsessed with, or you're just like, what am I looking at? You mean?
Prince,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was probably Controversy was What Am I Looking At?
Yes. No, no.
But yeah.
I remember so vividly. Remember, he had those neon lights behind it. I just remember being like, what the heck? Was he wearing like a thong or something? You think he was wearing?
Yes, yes. And I was very young at the time, so I was pretty scared. It definitely intimidated me. It made me feel very uncomfortable because I was a big Michael Jackson fan at the time. So I was just like, oh my God, and he's playing guitar, which I thought was great and cool. But I was just I was scared. I was very, very young. But
Well, I think that's good art sometimes is supposed to obviously make you uncomfortable. But when I was really I used to think that Grace Jones was a man. I was sure Grace Jones was a man. Sure, Boy George was a woman. Again, being very young, like 5 or 7.
right.
I was sure, like, oh yeah, So I was a little confused, but
Yeah.
had their genders wrong.
Yeah.
And then, if there was a movie, I guess, growing up that either defined you or you really, related to, or that was just like your favorite movie, what would that be?
Woo, dude, Lord have mercy. Oh my gosh, that's okay. Define me. I would say, I don't know. For some reason, the Blues Brothers just comes to mind.
Really
You
good
know,
one.
it's great. My dad took me to it, and I mean, he cried. I was a little kid. I was like, why are you crying? I think during the Hallelujah scene with James Brown in the church, and now as an adult, I watch it and I cry. You know, so I would say just because the music and everything, Blues Brothers.
Great. That's a
Okay.
really good answer. No one's ever said that, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
okay, so how did you start? What kind of drew you to music, and how did you start kind of just falling in love and playing music?
I gotta give credit to my mom, obviously for birthing me and everything. But I actually was almost born at a James Brown concert. So yeah, so my mom and dad were at the show watching my uncle Maceo and James Brown and my uncle Melvin on drums and Maceo of course on saxophone.
Uncle Maceo Parker, don't just like throw it in there. Uncle Maceo, the legendary, who is your uncle, right?
Yes.
So that's what you and your parents, that's what you kind of grew up around and with, I'm sure. So, that makes total sense, by the way. But, keep going. Sorry.
It's not, you're good. Yeah, so I was on, she went into labor right there. Her water broke, I should say, right there at the show. So they rushed her to the hospital, and I was born that night, and that was August 27th. And so I would say that had a lot to do with my quest for being an artist. And my father,
To be literally, like
yeah, it's seriously. And my parents had nothing. I mean, my father played trombone, but he was definitely a full-time law professor, the first black law professor at Columbia University, and he was a legend in his own right as that scholar and everything. And so, but he was so great at inspiring me to do what I wanted to do. He didn't force me to become a lawyer and go to law school, which I was surprised, and actually it made me want to become a lawyer. I was
amazing.
like, maybe I could be a lawyer too. This is fun. I would go to his classes, and but yes, that started everything. Going to being born at a James Brown concert, pretty much.
It's funny. You're like your middle name or something should be James. Like
Yeah, kellindo James.
something. Um, and then so you're close with Maceo, or what was how was your guys' relationship growing up?
Growing up, yeah, I was pretty close with him. I looked at him as a idol.
Yeah.
At the same time, I would say Uncle Maceo, Uncle Maceo, and we went every summer. We would go to North Carolina and stay with him, and or my grandmother, and we would go drive with him to all the shows. So like all the like Bootsy Rubber Band, whatever, James Brown, so much fun. Oh my
Amazing.
gosh, yeah.
And what do you think you learned from him as a very young? You mean?
Wow, practice makes perfect. He always said to me, keep your axe with you at all times, because sometimes we get lazy and we're just like, oh, I don't feel like schlepping this. I'm going to leave it in the corner or see if someone can hold on to it for me. And the next thing you know, you're scrambling to get it the next day. That happened to me a few times with Janelle from shows we would do where I left the guitar.
And I know that. Never leave your stuff. Your stuff is with you at all times. I know
Yep.
that. Why?
No. Okay, so picture so here we go. This is the Stella McCartney party after party of the Met Gala. Huge, everyone was there. It was a huge party with in a townhouse. I had this gigantic guitar in a guitar case, and I'm trying to mingle. Rihanna's there, everybody, and I really wanted. Paul McCartney was there, of course, and I'm just like, I just need to get this guitar. Like, Lord of mercy, someone, please. So I asked the person in charge of the house to hold on to it for me, and she locked it into a bedroom. Next thing I know, the person who owns the house is asleep in the bedroom. So I had to come back the next day, and I was just like, oh my God, this guitar is $10,000. I mean, I'm afraid.
It's always like that. Never leave your stuff at a second look. I never, that's rule number one. I know
Yeah.
that. So what's the first nightclub you went to in New York City? First nightclub.
Ooh. Mm. Oh, easy, very easy. I was underage, so that's how I remember. The Lone Star Cafe or the Roadhouse Cafe, they changed the name, but to see James Brown, my father snuck me in to see James Brown. Yeah.
How did it make you feel? Because I remember vividly the first time I walked into a nightclub. I was in Detroit, and I still to this day remember the feeling I had. How did it make you feel walking in there, just seeing the lights, the smoke, the energy, the everything? How did it make you feel?
I felt exuberated. I felt scared at the same time. Like, am I gonna get caught? 'Cause I'm way under 18. But then when actually before the music started, I noticed Robert Plant walked in. Some of the New York Mets walked in, Keith Hernandez and other people, and I was just like, oh my gosh, And we were up there in VIP, up on the balcony, right above the stage. It's a very small venue, and the band starts playing. Once the band started hitting that first groove, I think the first song was "Entertainment Tonight" theme song with with just Maceo. They introduced Maceo Parker, and he comes out, and Maceo does his solo and stuff. And then James Brown obviously comes out like 15 minutes later, and I was just like, I have to do this for a career. This is just amazing. So I think I saw James Brown like 15 times.
Amazing. I saw.
Right.
Um,
Nice.
I yeah, no, I think that that first moment when we kind of like it kind of clicks with everybody. I just kind of remember I walking in. I was like, I remember that feeling vividly. And how did you hook up with Janelle? How did you guys meet first, and how did that come about? I don't know that story.
Mm.
I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I was just at the right place, the right time. God is good. I was in a studio session with Divinity, the bass player for being later to play with Beyonce, and but I was in the studio with her and Donnie Scant, and in walks Chuck Lightning, and he's like, hey man, I gotta get your number, man. You're cool. You play jazz and rock. It's interesting combination. And funk. I was like, yeah, great to meet you. He was a very punk, punk rock kind of guy, which I loved. And so gave him my information, and he hit me up a little bit later, and then I went to the studio to work with him and Nate on Deep Cotton material.
Oh, good.
And yeah, this is before what is it? Before Metropolis
Okay.
was definitely was done for sure. It wasn't done yet, and then I joined in on Metropolis and helped with that after meeting Janelle Monae, and what an honor that was.
I still love Metropolis to this day. Those songs are amazing still. They still hold the test. Listen, I love some of those songs. I can put them right now, and they're still some of my favorite songs of the whole discography.
Yes.
And then, what was your first impression of Janelle upon meeting her a couple times?
Yeah, she was. I thought she was a little shy, so I could relate. I remember her hair was kind of like an afro, but I thought she was very, very beautiful, and I remember that those thoughts in my head, like, wow, she's so beautiful, And again, this is before anything was ever released.
Yeah.
And I heard her voice, and I just, oh my gosh, it makes sense. Her voice matches her beauty of her face and everything. And I just wanted to do everything I could to help cultivate whatever her dreams and what Nate and Chuck's dreams were, and mine as well.
I call her delightfully wild.
Yes.
Wild. You mean?
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yes.
She is delightfully wild.
Delightful, but she is stage dive as far as one little 5'3" girl can do.
Seriously.
And what do you think you learned from her that first year of being around her and them, Nate, Chuck, and Janelle? What do you think you learned from them or her in particular?
Just staying focused. That first year was interesting because the music to me was banging. Like I was just like, this is it. This is perfect. There's nothing wrong with this music at all. But I remember when we were submitting stuff to people, the industry people, they were just like, oh, this is different. This is, not normal songwriting and, not the norm, and so then I got a little concerned when I heard that kind of thing. But the beautiful thing is, though, we started doing our live shows and the crowds went nuts.
Those live shows are.
Thank you, man.
And how would you describe, I guess, the Janelle Monae with Nate, Chuck, everyone under the umbrella, how would you describe the music if you had to categorize it? You had to for someone that had never heard it. I know how I like to describe it, but how would you describe it? I know it's hard.
It's hard. And to make it simple, rock and roll.
As I said, I always say, you guys live, I always say that is rock and roll. That is rock and roll. I mean, it is, it's jamming, hard rock and roll.
Right.
It goes over people's heads sometimes. They're like, I don't know. That part doesn't sink in a lot of times. I think it's rock and roll and funk. I think it's real rock and roll, rock funk.
All that stuff.
And then obviously, so, you started work with them. You're currently with them still. So you go all together for, I don't know. How many years is that? You said 14?
It's about 15. I mean, I think it's 14 altogether, but once the new year hits, it'll be 15. So
you have toured the world 10 times over. You guys are a touring band that tours every single summer and then some. And getting that show grow from, I think, maybe not the very first year, but maybe the second year. And I've seen it when it was, relatively a small show. It was still unbelievably amazing. That show was so tight and so good. The first, inklings of that show to what it is now, a massively large show with huge staircases and dancers and amazing lighting, all these different things. It's a much production. The show has always been equally as good. The show's been amazing. What are some of the highlights, I guess, touring the world 10 times over? Like I've said, you guys have toured the world probably 10 summers in a row, all over the world. What are some of the highlights?
Man, I would say the one that comes to mind was one time when we were in Montreux, Switzerland, and we did a great show. We're feeling great about the show. We're backstage in our dressing rooms, and in walks Prince and Quincy Jones. you know, in Montreux. And I was just like, okay, write this down as, highlight of the life, you know. So Prince was like tapping me on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, do you want to go jam?" And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, it's like, I don't know, 2 in the morning right now, and I'm pretty tired after having a long day of sound check and show, but I'm not gonna say no." So I'm like, "Yeah." So we go to this. First, we go to eat at this restaurant that Quincy Jones, I think, either owns or part owns or something, because there's Quincy Jones menu in there and like his dish that's called the Quincy Jones. And then we go to the club, and there's a long story. I don't know if we have time for the whole story, but I do remember being at the club, and there's this woman sitting next to me who's just like, "What?" She's like, "Can you take off your sunglasses?" Because I wear the sunglasses all the time. I'm not now because I learned that lesson that night. And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, it's kind of rude, I think, for you to wear sunglasses at night." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, what's your name?" And then she said, "Shania." And then she said, "But I won't tell you my last name until I said, wait a minute. Twain? Shania Twain?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, hell no." So that's a little, yeah, yes. Come on now. That's what I'm talking about. Where are
But
my glasses?
Quincy Jones and I have the same birthday, by the way. We have the exact same birthday.
Of course you do.
And every time I see him, and he just says, "That just means you're a cool cat." He tells me every time.
Yeah. You
And,
are.
and Albert Einstein, birthday. Me, Quincy, and Albert. Yeah. Who has your birthday?
The only person I can think of, and you're not going to believe this, it's kind of funny. One of my favorite guitarists of all time, Alex Lyson of Rush. I don't know if anyone here knows about Rush, but
I don't know him specifically, but I know about Rush. Yeah.
Canadian band. But I couldn't believe it that he's the same birthday. Other than that, I don't know. I just know Sean Connery, Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, and Beyonce are all my signs, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Um, somebody else is a Virgo. What's your first memory of me?
Yes, first memory, London, England. We had
Right.
that party. Yes, we had that party that you put on for us out there in line. It was a concert, actually, a big event, big concert. And I was like, this guy is cool. Oh my gosh, I love him. We hung out, and you and I became like hangout buddies in New York. When you'd have your events and stuff, I would just make sure to come and hang out with you, if you remember. And so much fun.
So my first memory of you, I think, was
Yes.
you. I think first, before I saw you live, I can't remember if I saw you live first or met you first, but obviously your hair stood out. It was there. But I remember meeting you, Nate, Chuck, you, and Janelle, all kind of around the same time, and George. That was the original crew in my head, and then I just been friends with all of you guys ever since. And we're talking like, I don't know, 2008 or something. Like maybe
Absolutely.
a long time ago. That show,
Absolutely.
because yeah, it was really fun and cool. We did a thing in London where you guys performed, and remember Janelle used to paint. She used to paint, and then throw me.
Yes. I love that. Mushrooms or Roses. That was so much fun.
Um, and then I think, like I said, that show had grown so much because those were small
Mhm.
shows. Those shows have always been so amazing. Like from the very beginning, you guys live have been like so spectacular. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you, Legendary Damon.
okay, so you said that Prince came in, to backstage at the Monterey, or that show. But what was your first real encounter with Prince? Was that it, or was there a more in depth?
No, oh no, no, the first encounter. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that one.
Okay,
We played the Roxy. I think it was the Roxy. Yeah, the Roxy. And the Roxy is small, compared to the places we play now. And in LA.
yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely LA. And there's Eddie Murphy with his date, in the front row. And it's when I saw him, I was just like, oh my God, Eddie Murphy, huge fan of Eddie Murphy.
Sure.
And it was that kind of crowd. So after the show was over, Janelle Monae and I go into the dressing room, and in walks, I forget who it was, but anyway, she hands Janelle the phone, and she says someone wants to speak with you, and it's a blur. And Janelle, this part I remember very well though. Janelle was like, "Hello," and I'm just sitting there, just like looking, and she goes, "Hi, Prince." And I'm like, "Oh, hell no." So I put my guitar down, I'm just listening. And she's like, "Oh, your house tonight with the band?" okay. And I'm like, ah, ah. That was the sound he used to make. Ah.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, so we drove to Prince's house in Beverly Hills. And it's this beautiful, I feel like it's an Italian style mansion, very marble based, a lot of stone. And we're greeted by the security, or everyone was dressed in black, all the security, big staff. And they walked us downstairs, down a hall, and through the hall at the end, you could see Prince and his band in some, I guess, it looked like kind of like a living room, but they were set up it was like set up as a rehearsal room. And he had a little cane, which I thought was so apropos. I mean, you finally meet Prince. It's like Willy Wonka, and you're picturing the guy doing the splits and all these dance steps, and he's holding a cane. I was like, oh my God, this is so precious. I don't want to hurt him, but I want to hug him really badly. So I was very calm and walked up to him, and we didn't hug yet. We started hugging later after getting to know him more, but nice little handshake, and he was like, you guys want to jam? So we jammed with him, and I think we hung out that whole night, over at that house. And we've been to that house several times since and had great parties over there. But that was the first time I met Prince.
First of all, it's a great story. The first time I went to Prince's house, I walked in, and I'm sure you are as well, I'm a huge Prince fan. And I walked in the house, and I heard they were playing The Time, 777-9311. I'm like, and Alicia Keys was walking as I was walking in, who's, we're not that close, we don't hang out. I looked at each other, and like, I love this, me too. But I didn't realize, I'm like, where's the DJ? There is no DJ. It's just the bands are playing the songs live. I'm like, oh, there's every artist was playing songs. I'm like, oh, there's no DJ live. I was like, oh,
yes. Those good old days. Sorry to say, but those are amazing good days.
Prince just started popping up with you guys. You guys opened for him many, many times, and he just started popping up everywhere, around. You guys were around him. He was around you. I remember Atlantic City one time, and Janelle always came out in that stretcher, and Prince came out in the stretcher, kind of opened your guys' show as Janelle or whatever. It was I was like, this is amazing. To me, he was kind of in on it. First of all, he supported art and artists so much. He was always in on like the fun and kind of like the sarcastic joke. He was always in on it.
Yeah, he had that sense of humor, Gemini, and just he was able to control his powers in a really brilliant and sensitive way and sharing way.
Yeah.
And I just remember he surprised me so often. I was really never not surprised. Like, he's unpredictable that way,
Yes, surprising was one of his favorite things to do. So I around him a lot too, and I kind of figured it out. I'm like, he kind of did the opposite of what he said he was going to do a lot of times. He'd be like, he's going to go right, he's really going left. That.
Yes.
But he was like, I think he supported artists so well, so amazingly, and really purely, and really cared about artists, and really trying to younger ones, trying to let them know he'd been around a long time. He's like, this is how it is. Listen to me, kind of like, really mentoring them. So
absolutely.
And then there's tons of videos of you and Prince jamming all over Instagram. You post them sometimes, like these amazing photos of videos of like you and Prince together on the guitar. It's like, it's so amazing. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is insane to me. What do you think you've learned from Prince just being around him?
Again, he's another person who practiced a lot. I never saw him practicing by himself, obviously, but, we're always jamming. These jam sessions would go on all night, whether we were in Chicago or New York or wherever, or Europe, And so he's someone, even in his 50s, was always playing. And I feel like he definitely got better as a guitarist over the years. And he was pretty flawless every time I saw him. I mean, it was like jamming with a combination of Jimi Hendrix, Wes Montgomery, Carlos Santana in their prime.
Yeah.
Just perfect, flawless.
I know a lot of his band too, I'm sure you did as well, but they said they would rehearse for sometimes 8-9 hours, sometimes 7 8 hours a day, do the 3 hour show. And there's always an after party, and then there's a show at the after party. So they would be like, we've been performing for like 15 hours today, So
absolutely.
That's what it was. And then I think that, the thing about Prince is he liked, the parties didn't start till 3. So they didn't finish till 6, 7 a.m. He did City Winery in New York after the MTV, and I was there, and there's all windows in the back. The front is basically all windows, and they don't have curtains for some reason. So it was dark, at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and Prince was playing, but he was still playing at like 6, 6:30 in the morning, still playing. and we're looking out the window, and there's people going to work. It was a Monday morning. People were like, coffee. If you look at jamming, and like it's just like he really did go to like 6:30 a.m. was a good time for him to kind of like wrap it up. You mean, but and he loved to go out. He loved to go to parties. He loved being out at parties, and I think he didn't want people to see him per se, but he liked to see, I think, what was going on, and he liked being out. He liked being around music and people.
Yeah, like that night that we were in Montreux, he ended up not wanting to jam. After I went to the bathroom and came back, I'm like, all right, so are you ready? Let's go. And he was like, no, I don't want to do it. I said, what happened? He said, this band and the guy, the way he's commanding the audience, they love the show. It's not just, let's watch, let's not do it. And I was like, but you're Prince. Like, what? I literally said that. It sounded funny coming out. I heard the reverb, the echo of, you're Prince. And he was like, okay, what will we play? And now I'm thinking, okay, what Prince song do I really know that I can nail? And I'm like, I say Purple Rain. And he's like, oh, hell no. Get him out of here. Security.
Well, another thing I loved about him, and we're not here to talk about him all day, but the thing I loved about him is he didn't really coddle people. I saw him so many times pull people on stage and just like, show me what you got. He never like coddled people. I did like that about him. You mean he would like just give them the microphone, no like direction, no they could know the song or not. He would just like I like that about him. You
on stage a long time ago with him. That awesome shot of you or with the from way back. Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Ah! Yeah.
Said, he just I don't know. He was like he felt my vibe. I'm sure.
Yes. Amazing.
Speaking of amazing musicians, so how did you get hooked up with Andre Simone?
Ah, wow. Great question. Blessing, like another blessing. Wondering how that happened, actually. That's a good, actually, wait a minute. I feel like I got a call. You know what? I actually don't remember how it happened, and I don't want to make anything up. But I feel like I got a call, and it was just like, "Hey, do you want to open for Andre Simone at the what was it? The Electric? I forget the name of it. Bowery Electric." But it's some electric TV show. No, the electric company. No, yeah, the Bowery Electric. Who in the world? I don't remember. I think Jessica Cernick might have been the one who got me that gig. Gosh. Anyway, wow, that's a great question. I need to do the research and find out how it happened, but it did, and I love him. When I met him, he looked like his son. Like he didn't look like what I was expecting. So I'm like,
34 years old. You mean so?
Yeah, I was like, is your dad here?
So, in case anyone doesn't know, Andre Simone and Prince were childhood friends. And in my opinion, after seeing Andre perform, only recently, the past 5 or 8 years, I think I've seen him perform. I hadn't seen him prior to that. He plays equally as good as Prince. He doesn't play he's not, like, Prince didn't teach him. I always believe they taught each other how to play instruments. I believe that. Based off of how he plays the guitar and things, it's like, he plays equal to Prince. He doesn't play like, Prince's little, whatever. They are very similar in their talent, because they're both amazing. He's incredible. Absolutely. And then there was such a great billing. I'm like, that makes perfect sense to me. So.
Yeah, it was such a great show. Those are actually two of my favorite shows as a solo artist. Yeah. Playing with him in New York and then playing with him in LA at the Mint. Oh my goodness, those nights were really memorable. Very memorable nights.
Incredible musician, I believe, too. Okay, so let's talk about your current single. Tell me about your single.
My current single is called Long Gone, and it's just basically a guitar riff tune that I came up with, watching sports ESPN. I was like, man, I need to write some riffs, and yeah, man. And so I went to Nashville and started collaborating with Brandon James, got a little bit of an accent, and you and me were long gone. And it's just a basic, just fun, let loose kind of rock and roll bluesy song. You know what I mean? I'm proud of it.
Good. And then it's on, where's it at? Like, where can people find it right now? Where's it at?
It's everywhere. Oh my goodness, it's everywhere. It's under my arm. It's on iTunes. iTunes is everything. It's Spotify. Yes, please listen.
And so let me ask you some fun questions. So, what are the 3 best parties you've ever been to in your entire life?
Ooh, okay. 3 best parties. Definitely. For one of them, it's not in order so far, just based on memory. The after Grammy party at Prince's house in Beverly Hills. So much fun. Lenny Kravitz was there. Everybody. and it just felt great. You know, I reconnected with Dave Chappelle, who I met a long, long time ago because my father, the law professor and lawyer, um, was Dave Chappelle's mentor way back in the day, and helped him get the whole HBO thing or whatever, Comedy Central thing. And so I saw Dave Chappelle there, and I was like, oh, I need to say hi to him. I haven't seen him since I was like, I don't know, a teenager. And so I'm like, so I walk up to him and I just say, does Professor Keller Parker mean anything to you? And he was like, whoa. He goes, whoa, whoa. That was my mentor. You know, I'm just like, yes, that's what I wanted to hear. Well, I'm his son, yay! So, but that was just a great night. Okay, another party. That's one.
Um,
Say it again.
that was a good Dave Chappelle impersonation, by
Why, thank you. I'm working on my acting skills.
the way.
Thank you. Another great party, offhand, that just hits me. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not in the top three, but a party we went to and performed at in Russia, of all places, in Moscow. It was a Prince-themed party. I think it was called the Purple Rain Party or something like that. And it was just heavenly. I mean, I don't know how much money these people had, but you could tell money was not a problem. You know, if it was a possible thing to put together, they could put it together. That was an incredible party. Had a great time. I didn't get in trouble, which is a good thing. Back then, I, you know, had the tendency to, if there's a chance for them to go wrong, could possibly go wrong with me hanging out after the show back then. But yeah, it was a great party. Another one that stands out is one of your birthday parties, and I don't remember which one exactly, but you come out on the stage on a was it a zebra or a horse, a white horse,
Tiger, a tiger.
a tiger? I knew some. That party was so much fun. I was just like, I was shocked. You, like Prince, you shocked me with everything you did. So that, come on, man, come on, David.
I do little birthday.
That was huge. It was a big venue. The place was packed. Thinking about it right now, I can't even imagine. It was a gigantic. It must have been 3,000 people maybe there.
3,000 my closest friends for my birthday, you know.
Wow.
I've been to Russia too, and Russia does get very turned up. I've been to Russia parties there too, and they're like, yeah, they're kind of like beyond over the top, like my birthday party. Um,
Yes.
okay, so three best musicians, if you can, you know, just three that come to the top of your head. If you have to choose three, you know, like doesn't have to be for like it's not set in stone, but the three.
Yeah. Prince, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, Gosh, and now, now it becomes really hard. Musicians. Uh, I would say Wes Montgomery. He's a jazz guitar. He was a jazz guitarist. Insane musician. And Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Haven't you worked with him and been around him a lot?
We've
Yeah.
done a lot together. I've never recorded with him, but we've done a lot of shows and things together and jammed together. He's absolutely incredible. I just can't believe how amazing he is. And he, again, inspires me to practice even more. It's all about practice.
Listen, that's the theme of this. Our drinking worship and practice. I mean,
Come on now.
practice.
Yes, to practice.
Um, so if you could pick four people for dinner, living or dead, who would they be? Anybody in the world, living or dead, doesn't
Mm, mm. My father first,
right?
easily. Um, um, I'd probably say my grandfather. I know this. I'm not using popular people yet, but my
Yeah, that's
grandfather, because
great.
Maceo is a junior, so my uncle Maceo is Maceo Junior. So I would love to have Maceo Senior, and
Cool.
my grandmother, who also passed very recently, who shares the same birthday with Janelle Monae, and something I didn't even realize. I felt like Janelle reminded me of my grandmother a lot. And I was like, wait a minute, what sign are you? She's like, I'm a Sagittarius. I was like, let me call my grandmother up. And I call my grandmother up, and I'm just like, Grandma, we call her Mother. So I'm like, Mother, what sign are you? She goes, I don't know, little darling, but I do know that my birthday is December 1st.
Yeah.
I was like, are you serious right now? So my grandmother.
Aw.
And then I would say David Bowie, whom I met at one of my concerts a long time ago. He's great. I would love to kind of pick his brain about so many things.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna have to go with, gosh, I'm gonna have to go with Martin Luther King.
Great.
I would just love to just absorb his
Yeah.
energy and just his knowledge, his life, and just his behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about, just about him and what it was like, for him.
David Bowie, Martin Luther King, and your family. I want to go to that dinner.
Come on now, let's do this.
I met David Bowie in New York. I'd say around a long time ago, maybe the year early 2000s. And I'm sorry, I met him in the late 90s because I had met Tupac and I met Bowie about a couple years later. But they had very similar energy to me. I don't know what it was. Something about both. They had really strong energy to them, and something about them similar. I can't ever put my finger on what it was. I met like 1,000 people during that time, but those two had something in common. I don't know what it was. I can't figure out what it is yet, but they were just maybe really artist minds.
I can't believe you said that. I could cry. That's very
Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Tupac and David Bowie. Yeah, because he was surprising to me. His energy, I thought he would be like what I thought Prince would be like, just kind of like, don't talk to me. I'm David Bowie. Instead he was like, hey man, like he was like, all you, he goes, are you Parker? And I'm like, oh my God, he just asked me if I was Parker. And I love David Bowie.
Well, he was
Such a cool guy.
very vibrant.
Yeah. What was his sign again? Do you
Uh,
remember offhand? He's December, right? Or January, Capricorn or something like that.
uh, okay, so Kalindo, a couple questions before we wrap it up. What inspires you right now in life?
Hmm. The future. I'm inspired by the future. I feel that we've been through things that I wasn't expecting at all, that were negative, I can say. And the positive things that I wasn't expecting happened as well years ago when President Obama became the first Black president of the United States. I was not expecting that to ever happen in my lifetime. Hell no.
Yeah.
Or ever, possibly. So that was a positive. But then what's gone on the past, really the past year and a half, um, showed me that you got to really, really, really protect your finances,
Hmm.
protect your health.
Hmm.
Maybe health first, because without the health, you can't protect. The finances don't matter. So health first, finances second, and because this type of pandemic, I didn't know it existed, obviously, or would exist, but because I didn't do the research. I mean, it happened before, and I didn't even know about it until this year, which
Yeah.
was very ignorant on my part. So I would say just knowing that there's survival. Some of us are surviving. Hopefully, most of us are surviving,
Yeah.
and we're going to come out strong next year and the year after, and just I'm going to pursue my life in a way in the future that helps other people. I've learned how not to be selfish from
Yeah.
what's happened this year. It's not about just getting on stage and be like rock and roll, but it's actually about helping people.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think too, for me personally, and this has been a crazy year, as we all know. Um,
yeah.
I had the opportunity though to kind of sit still and kind of reconnect with myself in a really creative way that I have not been able to in a long time. So, there are some things that we can take away from this year as not positive, but learning in a good way. I wouldn't say positive, but I guess positive. I really got to
Right.
reconnect. Not that had changed or been any different, but I got to reconnect with who I really am, in a the core of me in a really great, who I was when I was 20 or something, in a really great way. I mean,
That is so powerful and priceless, and that's something that I actually went into therapy this year for the first time in my entire life, earlier in the year. And thanks to my sister Shilla, who owns Shop Thrilling, which is a vintage clothing store, black owned, amazing, kick-ass clothing store, by the way. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to gift you this amazing therapist. And I've always been like, no, I don't know therapist, man. I'm a man, man. I'm strong. I can do this. I was like, yes, thank you very much. I'll take it. I appreciate it. She was like $300 a session. I took it. And you're right. I did learn about myself a lot this year. I'm still learning. And without knowing who are you? You
it's
know
true.
what I mean?
So simple, right? I'm like,
Yeah. Good for
um,
you, man.
and then what are you grateful for right now in life? We have a lot to be grateful for, obviously.
Yes, my friends, Janelle Monae,
Yeah.
Nate Wonder, Chuck Lightning, my family, my parents, my mom, who's still here. She's the stuff that she's been through. you
Yeah.
know, because, you know, my father being this amazing man who became the first Black professor at Columbia, well, my mom was the one who got him through law school. You know what I mean? So it's just like, wow. And obviously took care, you know,
Yeah.
carried me and my sister and all that stuff. So yes, um, uh, those things. And I'm sorry, I just got a text that's distracted me. Uh, and what was the
Well,
question? I lost the question. Say it again.
what are you grateful for? You said your
Yes,
friend.
yes, I'm grateful for, thank you. It's the weed from back in the day. Friends, you know, family. I'm grateful for where I live. You know, I feel privileged. You know,
Yeah.
when I walk down the street, I'm in New York. I'm in a really nice neighborhood in New York, even though it can be torn down just like that. But it's a really nice neighborhood. And when I walk down the street and see homeless people, they're sleeping on the street.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, okay, I got this. I got a mattress. You know, I'm good. I'm just like, damn, man. You know, so I feel sad. I want to cry these days. Back in the day, I didn't have the same empathy that I have now because I picture myself in that same position. Like,
Yeah.
what would I do? So, so I'm grateful for having a roof over my head, heat, all those things, man.
Um,
Yeah,
I think the last question is, you know, we are in a pandemic. Lots of people are not
yeah.
working. All artists, you know, our community got hit hardest. How can we support you, or what's the way that people watching can support you right now?
Oh, thank you for asking me. You're gonna make me cry, but I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna fight it. I gotta be strong. Okay, I would say, uh, gosh, how can you support me? Definitely do this. You know, when I have live Instagrams, tune in. That's
Yep.
very helpful. Download the music on iTunes because iTunes pays the artist. You know, it's like 99 cents per song. There's, you know, it's a small fraction, but it's better than just playing it on Spotify. No offense to Spotify, which I do respect too, and play Spotify. But keep repeating the songs on Spotify and post on your Instagram feeds, please.
Yeah.
You know, I believe I put out good music. I'm still working to make it better.
Yep.
But come on now, you know, just you know, put it out there. If you don't like it, I get it. You don't have to put it out. But you know, support me and my family. I have good intentions, and I love you all so much for tuning in. I see all these little messages. Man, my sunglasses are so far away. For me to find them right now, you'd be over with. But
All
anyway,
right. So,
God
Kalinda,
bless you.
20th episode. I want to thank you so much for being on Legendary Talks.
Thank
I want to
you.
thank you for being, you know, who you are, being committed to music, art, being yourself, to you know, doing music at doing music that's not what everyone else is doing, being you know unique about it, being inspired by the people that came before you and your family, and you know, really remaining true to it, and you know, practicing and making your music perfect. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Damon. I love you. God bless you. Thank
It's
you.
so much fun at your guys' shows. Like I said, I could see you guys live once a week forever, forever. I
Me too.
know that.
I could do it every day
Yeah,
forever, seriously.
you know, I love watching you guys live. It's one of my favorite things to do. You guys are one of my favorite live bands. Like,
Thank you.
so you know,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Damon. Oh my God.
for doing this. I'm glad you took the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you so very much. I did it. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
I was scared, but hey, Virgos can be strong too, huh?
thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you too. God bless. Good night.
Bye.